Hello, and today we are going to do the recrystallization lab. And for this lab, we are going to be purifying the acetanilide out of our crude mixture, which is this. For this lab, the first thing you're going to do is take your funnel and you're going to want to go put it in the oven so that it's hot and dry, as if it's cold, it will cause issues with your lab when you purify it later. So with the funnel in the oven, the first thing you're wanting to do is heat up about 40 to 50 mils of water. And you can just get a hot plate just like so. And you can turn the temperature up to 140, 150. Water boils at 100 degrees, and that's all you need is your water to be hot. So you don't need to be exact with this, as you have markings on your little Erlenmeyer flask. So now you can just put it on here, and then you just have to wait for it to warm up. And as it's warming up, you should get the water warming first before you weigh out your crude product, just because it will help save some time. So with that, you can go weigh out 3 grams of your crude product and put it in your Erlenmeyer flask. The other thing you can do in the meantime while you're waiting is you can go and prepare where your ring stand will be. This will hold your funnel. And the other thing you can do is prepare your filter. In your lab manual, it explains how to do it. How I personally do this is I will fold it in half, fold it in half, fold it in half again, and fold it one more time. And if you can get it again, you can. And when you unfold it, it gives you the nice filter that you're looking for. So now you can set this to the side, and it's ready to go. So with our water just starting to boil, we're gonna go grab an oven mitt, and you are going to pour about 30 mils, give or take, of the hot water in here. And as you can see, and stir it around. Can't really see because it's a little dark, but all your crystals that are soluble in water will have disappeared. As you can see, some of it's floating on top that's insoluble. So add just a bit more, stir it around some more. All right, so still have about 10 mils of water left. I'm gonna put them both on here, keep it warm, and put your sight glass over, stop the water from evaporating. Now the reason you want to put it back on there is because if this one starts to cool off, your product will precipitate out, which is what you don't want, because that will lower your yield, and also you'll have a lower isolation amount. So then just wait for it to start boiling again. So now with our crude acetanilide dissolved in boiling water, you can go get your stemless filter, stemless funnel that is in the oven, and then you can set that up. And you don't want to take that out of the oven until you're ready to do the transfer, because if it cools off, the problem that you'll run into is that your product will precipitate into the funnel and not through the filter paper like you want. Alright, so we're going to set up just like so. Put your paper in there. You want to be quick with this. With your little bit of water you have left from your first erlenmeyer, you're just going to dump a bit in there. It's going to wet the filter paper down and should kind of stick to the sides. Alright, so now all you're going to do is dump this into your filter paper. Oops. So. Just let it all drain through. And as you can see, there's a lot of insoluble other gunk in there, and that's the stuff that you're removing from the solution. So everything that's in the water in your beaker that you just filtered will have just your pure acetanilide. As you can see in the filter as well, there's a lot of other kind of gunk in there. That's also stuff you're removing from the compound. That would be impurities. Now, if you think that there is some product that's left in the filter, what you can do is with your additioning volume of hot water here, you can just dump it through, and that will dissolve and bring any of it through, and hopefully get the rest of it from the filter. So now that it's filtered, you can take this out of the way, and then your product will be in the water layer. And as you can see, there's nothing in there. Don't worry if it's not clear, that's okay. And then you're going to put it in an ice bath. That will cool it off, and it will cause all your product to crash out. Also, make sure you put your water in there, because you will need cold water for the next step as well. And now you just have to wait about 15 minutes, and it'll cool off, and it should all start to crash out there. You can see how there's kind of crystals forming already. There should be a lot more coming out of there in the next several minutes. So while you're waiting, what you can do is you can set up your filter flask and tucker funnel, just this guy here and this here, and this just sits on top like so. So you have to get a vacuum hose, and there will be ends like this, and just up at the sink there's our aspirator, just plugs in there. The end of the hose just goes on like so, doesn't go very far, and that's all there is to it. And if you want to test to see if there's vacuum on it, all you have to do is to turn on the water, and if you put your hand on it, you should feel vacuum build up, and it will lift off the hand or lift the ground because of the vacuum on your hand. And make sure you turn the water on all the way. Reason being is more water pressure, the more vacuum it will produce. As you can see, we already have some crystals forming, which is good. All right, so it's been about 15 minutes. I don't know if you can see that. There's a lot of crystals in the bottom there. That's all of our pure product. So now our last step is to filter it through our filter product. So you're going to take a filter paper, you're just going to put it in the top there. You're going to use your cold water. You're going to just spray it. So what this does is it lays it down flat, so then nothing will get through. All your product will get stuck in the top. So you turn on your water, and all you do is just pour everything in there. And you can kind of spray this out a little bit just to get any extra crystals that are stuck in there. And then you can wash your crystals with your cold water. It's supposed to be about 5 mils. You want to use cold water. The reason being is because it's not soluble in cold water. So when you do that, no crystals will go through. So, as you can see, there's a bunch of shiny crystals in there. And now you leave this for about another 10 to 15 minutes. This will remove any water that is in there. And also, the less water there is, the closer your melting point when you check it is going to be to literature value. So leave this for about 15 minutes. So as you can see, there's lots of pretty crystals in there. Now you have to scrape these out into a beaker or a sight glass, whatever works. But make sure you weigh whatever you're putting it in dry without anything, because the difference of weight is what's going to be your product. Now our final step that we have to do is measuring the melting point. So to do that, ask your instructor for these. This is a melting point capillary tube. It's not really locking onto it, but so what you're going to do is there's an open end and a closed end, and you're going to take this, and all you're going to do is just fill up the end of it. So you can see there's a bunch of it in the end there. Now, what you're going to do is hit this big long tube. You're just going to drop it so the closed end is down, and just bounce it down like that. So you can see some of it has gone down. Yeah. Versus there's still a lot out of the top, so you're going to have to do this quite a few times. Drier your product is, the quicker this goes. That's another reason why having dry product is important. As you can see, how much is in there? You don't need very much. And you don't want to have any air pockets in there. The reason being is that will give you a wrong melting point, and it will not be accurate, and you'll have to redo it. So now we will head over to the apparatus, and I will show you how to use it. Right, so this is our device for melting points. As you can see, thermometer on it, and how you use it is you got to turn it on first. You can see the light just came on, and all you do is turn the heat or the voltage up about 50, 60, and there's a little slot at the top here. You see your capillary tube just going there, and that is it. And as you can see, if I can get it to focus, you can see that's your capillary tube that's moving there. That's where you're gonna watch, and you're gonna record as soon as that turns to a liquid, and you're gonna have to pay attention to the thermometer, as it will, if there's no water, it'll be really close to your literature melting point. If there is water, it'll, or other contaminants, it will most likely be very, or a little lower. Temperature will rise quite quick, so start paying close attention when you start getting close to your literature melting point. So as soon as you're done and it melts, remember to shut it off, because if it keeps warming up, it'll take that much longer for it to cool off, and that will slow everybody down. Mine melted at 84 degrees, which I believe is a little bit low, which means I would have had water in mine or some other kind of contaminant. So mine was, the literature was supposed to be 113. Mine was very low because I didn't let it dry long enough, and that's the importance of the drying step, because the water will significantly impact your melting point. And then once you're done, you can dispose of your capillary tube just in the glass waste, and then you can clean your dishes, and you're all finished the lab.